The first thing Maya noticed about Westwood High wasn't the noise. It was the way the light hit the long hallway in the morning, like thin gold thread spilling in through high windows, catching on dust motes that drifted lazily in the air. She stood in the doorway for just a moment, her fingers tightening around the strap of her red backpack, before stepping inside. The sound came next. Sneakers squeaking on polished floors. Lockers slamming shut like punctuation marks in 100 different conversations. Laughter bouncing off walls in waves, sometimes genuine, sometimes sharp-edged. It was her first day. She'd been through first days before. Her father's job, engineering contracts for big companies, had moved them 5 times in the past 7 years. But something about this place felt different. Westwood High was big. 3 floors, a football stadium you could see from the road, and more than 2,000 students. She'd come from a quiet school where everyone knew each other's grandparents. Here, she was just another unfamiliar face in a sea of them. Her father's words rang in her head, walk tall. Eyes open. Shoulders back. Not because she had to be intimidating, but because people respected confidence even when they didn't know you. But confidence wasn't always enough. Halfway down the main hallway, she noticed a group leaning against a row of lockers. 3 boys, older, with the easy arrogance of people who thought they owned the space. Jason Miller stood in the middle, tall, broad-shouldered, hair perfectly messy in that way that takes effort to look effortless. Ethan, wiry with restless energy, shifted from foot to foot like he was always about to pounce. Troy, the quiet one, was built solid, his crossed arms making him look like a bouncer. Jason's gaze locked on her for a moment too long. His smirk was slow, deliberate. He nudged Ethan, who glanced at Maya and then back to Jason with a grin. Maya kept walking, pretending not to notice. By lunch, she'd already caught the whispers. New girl. Skirt girl. Where's she from? They weren't all cruel, but they weren't warm either. She took her tray to a corner table by the windows, the pale winter light spilling across her food. She ate slowly, watching the crowd without seeming to. At the far side of the cafeteria, Jason's table was the center of gravity. Loud, full of football jackets and cheerleader skirts. She could feel their glances even without looking up. Maya had learned a long time ago that avoiding attention was often safer than challenging it. But she'd also learned that bullies, especially the kind that traveled in packs, tested limits. And if you didn't set yours early, they'd keep pushing. Karate had taught her that too. She'd been training since she was 7, earning her black belt just last summer. Her sensei had drilled it into her, we don't train to fight. We train so we don't have to. But sometimes, avoiding a fight meant showing you weren't afraid of one. It happened after lunch. The hallway was quieter now, most students already in class. Maya stopped at her locker, spinning the dial with quick, practiced movements. She heard footsteps behind her. Then a voice, dripping with mockery, "Hey, new girl. Cute skirt." Her hand froze for a split second on the lock. A tug came at the hem of her skirt. Not hard, testing. "Let go," she said, without turning. Her voice was calm, steady. Jason's chuckle was close enough for her to feel his breath. What? Too shy to show a little? The second tug was sharper. She moved fast. Spinning, she caught his wrist in her hand, twisting it just enough to make his smirk falter. His eyes widened slightly as she stepped in closer, her voice low enough for only him to hear. "Touch me again, and you'll regret it." Then she let go. The whole thing lasted 3 seconds. His friend stared, caught between laughter and disbelief. Maya shut her locker, slung her bag over her shoulder, and walked away without looking back. If you're into stories like this, where the ones people underestimate end up changing everything, subscribe to Soul Touch Stories. We bring you powerful, real feeling moments every week, the kind you carry with you long after they end. By the end of the day, the story had already taken on a life of its own. Some swore she'd flipped Jason into the lockers. Others said she'd knocked him to the floor. Maya didn't bother correcting anyone. Truth mattered less than the fact that he'd think twice before trying again. But Jason wasn't the kind to let things go. His ego was like a balloon with a slow leak. Every whisper about the new girl made it sag lower. 2 weeks passed. The stares faded, but the tension didn't. She caught Jason watching her sometimes in class, his jaw tight. The breaking point came on a Thursday. Rain had been falling since morning, turning the sky to dull gray and the air to a heavy, damp chill. Most students rushed home after the final bell, sprinting through puddles to the buses. Maya stayed behind, organizing her locker, glad for the quiet. She didn't hear the footsteps until they were close. Jason. Ethan. Troy. Blocking the hallway. Jason's smirk was gone. His voice was low, steady. Think you're tough? Let's see without an audience. Maya shut her locker slowly, her eyes meeting his. You really don't want to do this. But he moved anyway. What happened next was a blur of instinct. Jason lunged. She sidestepped, catching his arm, pivoting so his own momentum slammed him into the lockers with a metallic crash. Ethan grabbed her shoulder, she twisted free, striking his wrist just hard enough to make him drop the phone he'd been recording with. Troy hesitated, but Jason came again, swinging wildly. She ducked low, sweeping his leg out from under him. He hit the floor hard, the breath rushing out of him in a grunt. The entire fight lasted under 20 seconds. A few students, drawn by the noise, had gathered at the far end of the hall. Their phones were out. Maya stepped back, giving Jason room to get up. We're done here, she said, her tone final. Jason's face flushed red. He shoved past her, past the crowd, and disappeared into the rain. By dinner that night, the videos were everywhere. Comments flooded in, some praising Maya, some mocking Jason, all buzzing with disbelief. The next day, something shifted. Students who'd never noticed her before offered nods in the hallway. A freshman girl approached her quietly at lunch. Thank you, she whispered. He used to mess with me too. Maya smiled. You don't have to let anyone make you feel small. In the weeks that followed, she joined the school's self-defense club, not to brag, but to teach. It's not about hurting people, she told the group. It's about knowing you can protect yourself if you need to. Then came the assembly. The principal, addressing a packed gym, announced a new anti-bullying initiative. To Maya's surprise, she was invited to speak. Standing on the stage, her heart hammered, but she took a deep breath and looked out over the crowd. Strength, she said, isn't about hurting others. It's about standing up for what's right, even when it's hard. I didn't come here to fight. But I learned that sometimes you have to stand your ground so people know where your line is. Her words hung in the air before the applause began, slow, genuine. And if you believe in stories that show the power of standing up, like, comment, and subscribe to Soul Touch Stories. There are more that might just inspire you to be the hero in your own life. After the assembly, Maya stepped into the crisp autumn air. Jason was leaning against the wall. For a moment, they locked eyes. No smirk this time. Just a nod. She returned it. It didn't erase the past. But maybe it was a start. Her father's voice echoed in her mind, strength is quiet until it needs to speak. And now she knew, hers had spoken loud enough for the whole school to hear.